Evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to Question Time Live, episode 134. I'm not going to lie. I might have just had a little 10-minute power nap. I'm absolutely flagging today. It's disgraceful. So it was the wife's, I threw her a surprise 40th birthday bash on Sunday. And yeah, I was a little bit worse for wear, let's say, come Monday, and still working it out of the system. I think just snapped back into the old 5 o'clock starts this morning. I think it's all it's all a bit too much. And on top of that, just in that absolute spot where we've just had a little period again where everything seems to be wanting to break on us, and new shipment in always rocks the boat. Everything was looking good. Now everything's going the wrong direction all at once, which I absolutely love. It's just the best. So yeah, you break that down bit by bit, slowly. Try and not let it get too on top of you, because it can get rather stressful. And remember not to do too much too soon. Also, very important part of it. Yeah, so there we go. That's us really. Had a pump go down, which has been replaced now, and that's just topping back up. There we go. This is it. When there's so many moving parts, there's always a bit of something. And yeah, but fingers crossed. Couple of batches of fish that we're doing me nuts. I seem to be top side of them. It's just been never increasing pile, but it is what we have to deal with, get through, get sorted. But there we go. So it's all about you guys tonight. Please get the chat loaded up. I can see that you have been relatively busy already, so we'll get stuck into them. But it's all about your questions this evening. No topical. Ooh, that's interesting. Topical chat, like I did last week. However, one interesting point that got brought up in the Telegram group yesterday, day before, not sure, was around the second-hand fish market and the values and complications around it. If anybody has got any questions or anything to prompt and start and dig into that, we can go down that route a little bit, because it's a very interesting one. I think a bit of the conversation was around the values in the second-hand market versus from a dealer, and yeah, I think there's certainly some bits to be spoken about there that I could wade in on. So hopefully, if the energy remains for the full hour, it's something we might dive into. But feel free to say your piece on that one, or fire something in the comments. Maybe remind me a bit later on. And then I have got, it's actually disappeared because I changed my connection over from Wi-Fi to wired before I start up, and it's kicked it off. But I've got a bit of koi appreciation around a particular fish that I'm going to be auctioning, one of many absolute super pieces. I'll be auctioning tomorrow night on my Ricky Stoddart Nishikigoi group. There is a link to that in the comments. You want to be there. This is some mega pieces, and there's one particular Dainichi shower I'm going to be auctioning. I must be a maniac that we're going to have a look at, because it's really interesting. I've got the development from the Tosai through to Nisai for us to take a look at on that one, because it's been pretty radical. And somebody actually asked me when I shared this on Facebook if it's what I was anticipating. So I might have forgot that part of that when I get to the fish. Maybe someone wants to remind me once you've seen the transformation, and I'll speak about that a little bit more as well. Other than that, nice to have seen the sun out today. I know it's not been super warm, but them daylight hours are stretching out, aren't they? And yeah, it's just more light and seeing a bit of sunshine breaking through. Oh, Exciting. It really is. But yeah, other than that, I'm going to stop waffling. I have got another prize competition. They've been absolutely buzzing in the WhatsApp groups. So we've actually one of last week's was an orange monkey and a yellow monkey. So the leftover orange monkey I'm going to pair with a phenomenal new type golden corn that I have. Going to do that one. And someone's also mentioned me doing a draw for one of my Miss Toyota Tatigoi, which I like the idea. I'm a bit torn with it, but I think it's a good idea. So I think there's some legs on that one. So let's get started. Gary Cook, nightmare with my water at the Mo. Traces of ammonia 0.2. I have a big blue with bone char and just added catalyst carbon in another one. Gary, so we're presuming it's your source water here, and there's not really a question in that. If you do want me to go any further with that one, I'm going to want to know a few bits of information. What temperature are you at? How old is the pond? How much are you feeding? I need more details. Size of it. What's the filtration setup? I think I was working a bit of one of these in the Telegram group last night. And what else do I want to know there? Flow rates as well, very important. What pumps you've got pulling off, what filtration lines and bits and bobs. So yeah, I think the general consensus of the one last night I was looking at is that fairly new pond, just been warmed up, testing every 2 days, getting like 0.5 of nitrite. In the end, once I've gone through absolutely everything, my advice was stop testing it. Test it in 2 weeks. How are the fish? Fish are great. Test it in 2 weeks' time, see where you're at. Nitrite doesn't just change like that. Ammonia you can manipulate really well. Nitrite really takes some doing, but it's just important, really important to focus on how those fish are looking. Ammonia is different. Like I say, when I see that come up, we want to deal with that and understand why, because in a short space of time, that can do a lot of irreparable damage. But nitrite is a different beast and much harder to, like I say, you ain't going to get much change within 2 days on that. You're just going to drive yourself bonkers. Chris, how are we doing, mate? With 250 litres of media, what would you pick if it was yourself? Also, would you run the bio off a side return so I can run it at lower speed for retention times, or a skimmer? K plus, I'm all over that, right? You know, since I've had it in the new system, a bit of a chat with Jasper around, you know, how it's designed and what, you know, elements of it are designed for, seeing how quickly it's seeded up as well. Yeah, I'm a K1 fan anyway. It's part of my core fundamentals in a koi pond setup, but I think the K plus just takes it to another level. Would you run the bio off a side return so I can run at lower speed for retention times, or a skimmer? Yeah, it's absolutely. I wouldn't say a skimmer. Side return possible. If you're saying side return and no mechanical filter, or like a mid-water inlet, no mechanical filtration, you want to make sure the bio chamber is set up to not allow waste settlement or effective purging of it. So yeah, happy days. Chris, let's have a look. You're here again. I've been told to run an easy pod before the bio, then bio to air source, heat pump to pond. Just want it simple, mate. Sorry for the long question. All right, got to do it. Only doing it now is okay. It's about to start driving. Been told to run an easy pod before the bio. So this is the interesting one with this. So I'm actually one of the ponds the pump's gone on today, because it's all been a retro. It's one of the big 3.5K ponds that's got the drum filters, the bio chamber. And obviously, after last week's conversation, I mentioned a few bits about, you know, your ecosystem and your waste and your filters and stuff like that. So what we don't want is heavy sludge building up in a filter. So if you are to run, you would be perfectly safe having a fluid bed running, but a fluid bed needs to be designed properly. In in a real way, what you want is not allowing any weight. You need the media to be able to get to the bottom to keep knocking anything back into circulation. So your mechanical filtration at some point can get it out. Now, I'm presuming, Chris, here you're telling me you've already got your mechanical line and some element of that on your pond. And this is just extra bio, unless I have missed something. Which in that case, if that's designed properly, because like I say, we just don't want heavy sediment building up. You need to be able to purge that, but ideally not have any of it build up too heavy anyway. So if the design of the system's right, it should just be knocking any sediment back into circulation for your mechanical line to get it next time round. In that case, absolutely no need for the Easy Pod before it. I think that's just excessive. If this is additional, I would maybe, if it's your bottom drain line, look at it a bit differently. But I'm presuming your bottom drain lines, you've got something there. I've got a couple of bits of jigsaw missing, Chris, but yeah, no harm here on having a side inlet straight through to a well-designed bio and back into the pond. Air source heat pump, you want that. You're going to have to just look at your flow rates. I'm not familiar with what the minimums are with air source heat pumps. You might have to factor that in depending on what speed you're running different lines at. But ultimately, so long as it's on a line that's constantly running and you've got enough flow, it won't make any difference with the air source heat pump. I hope we've got that right. All I would say is running anything kind of bio on a skimmer line, you're not always necessarily going to be running a skimmer, or you might not want to. So just bear that in mind. Good evening, sir from wonderful York. Have you considered doing some more of the how-to videos again? They're incredibly helpful and really appreciated. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this yesterday when I was doing another live. I'm content's been a bit slow because of how busy I've been. We've not been able to keep up with the pipeline, hence why I've been doing the lives a bit more, because it gives me a chance just to jump on when there's a window of time to go through a few bits. But yeah, we'll pick it up again soon for sure. So I'll run through them. I'll turn my phone off. Chris sending me. Oh, anyway. Right, let's have a look. Is that one of the new merch? This is one of the items I had done with all that original batch that I've been testing out. I really like these jackets. To be fair, full zip job. Just had the little detail on there, and actually, wrong arm. Is it the wrong arm? Little fish on the arm with that one. But yeah, like I say, the whole. But we're cracking on. We're cracking on with the proper hoodie, and there'll be more to come. But like I say, we're just going to focus in bit by bit on that one. Made some good progress on it this week. Tom's got it. Look, Tom knows where it's at. Question 18. Have a Kiyotsuori looking a bit heavy. Suspected eggs. Was not planning to raise heat further until end of March. Will koi likely absorb eggs or any precautionary action? I think the big thing to understand with this, when I hear the whole, oh, my fish is egg bound or this or that, whatever it is that it's not always necessarily the case, because what you can have here are fish that just have female fish that have bad belly lines, and a Kiyotsuori is a variety that can be susceptible to this, the same as a lot of really old, more traditional Shirotsuri bloodlines used to be. It's an inherent characteristic in Utsuri. So, and when you get that bad belly line, what you tend to see, if you got it from a side profile, you'll have that, you know, coming along, bit chesty, and then all of a sudden the belly line, which is an important part to understanding koi, the belly line will kind of nip under and up a bit too early and leave a longer piece of peduncle with not a lot of weight sat around it. And it's not all that just type of fish. It's a combination of egg, but also excessive fat in the abdomen because there's not enough space there. It's finished too early. Those type of fish, doesn't matter what you do, they're always going to maintain it. And the minute you're eating a bit too much food, they get excessively so. So it's not always egg bound, as people say. It's not real. Those female fish like that can just egg up excessively because of how the belly line's set. There's not the space around the rest of the abdominal cavity for everything to sit. So I think, yeah, without seeing it, it's hard to say for sure, but do look at that. It's likely a part of it. And even if it was to reabsorb its egg, which it might have done if they've had a break, it's still going to look like it. And if it's spawned, it would only briefly look a little bit lighter. It would soon be back there because it's not just eggs. It's a fundamental, more often than not, in the core setup of the body of the fish, especially the belly line. Michael, are the auctions open to general public? Yes, 100%. Get yourself in. It's one of my consumer brands, Koi Online and Ricky Stoddart, Nishikigoi. Both links are down below. You can get yourself in. Son, yes, it's been out. Me and Cole's been absolutely loving it. We're lovely in greenhouses as well. Like I say, not warm, not too warm, but absolutely loving just seeing a bit of sunshine. Oh, yes, here we go. They did. eBay did have a change, but that's just coming back to what I mentioned earlier about fish being moved on in the second-hand market, and it really, really, yeah, made it difficult. Evening, Ricky. Hit maximum on my grow on with growth food at 24 degrees. I can't thin them out till March. Would you do a mix of 50-50 growth and balance or drop temperature? I would say, Paul, how... Oh, hang on. What route would you go down? It's on 650 gram a day. Hit maximum on my grow. So what we're talking, Paul, is this feed limit or is this maximum as in capacity? If I would say how long have they been growing? Because if they've already had a sustained growing period, now just might be the time to dial it all back a little bit. Maybe drop them just onto balance, but wind that temp back, maybe say 18, drop them to no more than 3 or 4 feeds a day, and just slow it all down now. Give them a period of consolidation and rest, especially if your pond has got to that point. With the second-hand koi market, do you have any gems of information on how sellers should price their fish? Yeah, so this is the bit I was thinking around the values. Now, there's definitely two sides to all this argument, and the comparative, I think, is really the level of dealer that we're putting into this mix and this conversation. Because I think one of the big bits in this, when you are talking about fish that are getting into, decent values, into the hundreds, let's use that, hundreds up to say, £1,000, something like that. The issue here is from a dealer, and I'm going to use myself in this scenario and the level that I operate at. We've got massive, very, very strict. My reputation, for one, built around reliability in the health of the fish, fallback support should anything ever happen, the quarantine side of it as well in every step that we do to minimize risk, and that's risk of viral disease, bacterial diseases, you name it. Traceability through all that with all the CFAS work that we do. There's layers and layers and layers to it that when you are, and anything in them hundreds of pounds up to that 1,000 or above it bracket, it's a lot of money. Now, if we're talking about, and that's at this point, so that's all factored in as well when because all that stuff costs money to do that. But ultimately, when you've already got a valuable collection, you want that peace of mind that fish, especially if you've not got a quarantine pond, which is still not always a proper defense. It's just another line, a full defensive. It's just another line. You've got this issue that you want a dealer where you know that's going to be safe putting that fish into your pond. And if anything happens, you know, what have I actually got to go back at to try and get this sorted out? Now, when all of a sudden you flip to out of a hobbyist pond, what is the traceability there? Now, we just know one simple step from a biosecurity perspective with me, and it is the absolute golden rule. The only fish that come onto site are from Japan. I do all that hard work and screening in Japan as well to know that the farms I'm buying from are as safe as possible. So that's the chain there. Then it goes to your pond. Nothing else comes onto that site whatsoever. Now, from a hobbyist pond, and this is a massive, massive part where I see the biggest differentiator is what is the traceability from your pond. And I'm talking every single fish, because then you can potentially map out the risks. You know, is there that Israeli fish in that pond that would worry somebody? There's a lot to it, and I think that's the roots we have to look down, and that's all the things that, in my case, that we're building value in to by making sure there's that traceability, there's those standards. Say reputation, knowing customer history, knowing that, you know, if anything ever has gone wrong, it's been rectified to a high standard. So that might be the difference. And I don't know what difference in price that we're talking, but it's a consideration. You know, if you are, you know, even spending £300-400, that's a lot of money. Now, the risk, you would say, that ultimately is factored in, and I think where people expect to pay less coming from a hobbyist pond, is that there's not that route there. There's not that full level of traceability. Therefore, why should I pay you as much as I should Ricky, for example? Now, that in theory should also apply, and probably does apply, in all honesty, to buying fish from certain dealers as well, because we certainly don't all operate at the same standards. And absolutely, there's probably ones out there that people won't trust. They wouldn't pay as much. They'd expect to pay less because they might feel it's more risk, and probably be justified in a lot of cases as well. So there's a lot of them elements to factor in. The other part I would really say to all this is, is that fish truly in the same condition? You might have grown it. You might think it looks great, but is it actually really at the same level it would be at? So say you've took it from 40 to 60 cm. Is it at the same level as if I had taken it from 40 to 60 cm? So would that 60 cm be valued the same? And I'm talking, you know, color level here at this point, body condition, lots and lots of things. You know, has it got a bit of secondary color here, there, or all the rest of it? All these things affect value anyway. And when you add them in, or the color's not at the highest level, when you add all that in, then you've got you know, none of the traceability and all the rest of it. Then ultimately it is going to affect value. Yes. Now, the bit I would say is what you can do as a hobbyist that to me would help build that value in is keep as many records as you can. You know, if you are just setting up, say, your first pond, every purchase, can you get some kind of proof of purchase with it, receipt, invoice, whatever it is? Keep those. Certificates, a lot of dealers do their own ID certificates these days. All these things would help to show, look, this is the collection. This is where all the fish have come from. I can prove that it's all Japanese fish. I can show you the dealers, because then ultimately you are going to inherit some of that credibility into that pond. It's only the same as me with the breeders that I buy from, you know, X, Y, or Z. Now, if we knew there was a risky breeder out there, then all of a sudden you might look and think, ooh, you know, there's a danger there. So that's for me. It's not something I can help us in getting rid of them. I get that's a tricky part of it, but I think in relation to the values, there's bits there you can understand where value is built in from a dealer side versus from you know, your own pond. And that is a hard thing. Does it truly look the same? Now, you might have fish looking far better than at some dealers, and then wondering why, you know, my fish look better than theirs, yet they're getting that. But you are still up against that issue again, coming back to your traceability. And what happens? So if somebody chooses, let's just take a 300-pound fish, for example. Now, that with me might get you a very nice toe side. You might have something you've grown to 50 cm as a knee side that you're putting forward at that money. Now, if somebody comes and spends that with me, they take that fish away, and all of a sudden, after a week, it killed over completely. You know, whatever the cause is, that in our world is never acceptable. The first thing I would do, yes, I would ask a few questions, want to know a bit of investigation, what had gone on, but ultimately I would end up replacing that fish or crediting out the full value of that fish, because within a week it's unacceptable. Not something I've ever really known, but that's the reality. That's what we're here for. We've got loads of other fish that, you know, people can then use that credit on, etc. If they're coming to then you and that happens, what comeback is there? I would say probably not a lot, or a potential argument, dispute. It's not like you can just dip into your pond and serve up another fish or anything like that. Now you start to see how value builds and the differentiators and all that type of stuff. So I hope that sheds a bit of light on the kind of how I'm seeing that with the pricing. But yeah, and obviously that thing when it turns up, color's a massive one, because I see people grow fish, you know, dealers who have grown fish as well, and they grow them and they look like shit at the end of it. So it's absolutely, you know, you've grown it, yes, you made it bigger, which adds a little bit of additional value, because naturally from Japan, bigger fish just cost more to ship. But if you've not actually improved the quality or made it look, you know, all of a sudden you've took a Japanese fish and made it look like an English. I used to say that. I'm not going to say that. That's not fair, which is what some of the guys are doing. But a poorly raised fish that is, yeah, just not to the same standard it would be coming from a farm to Japan and out, then you can't expect to command the same value, no matter who you are, dealer, hobbyist, whatever. It's yeah, it's not the one. And you see obviously then the levels even at the top scope, fish with, you know, good volume. You can't expect, even as a dealer, if a fish is not carrying body weight properly and there's work to be done to even bring it up to a base level of standard, you ain't going to get the same value for it. And you're crazy if you think you are. Versus one that's absolutely built up, posturing in absolute top nick. It's just not, it's not going to happen. So yeah, a lot to consider in it. And then there's just elements of it that then tie back into you know, how koi are priced in general, which is a whole another topic entirely. I missed his first question somehow. Oh dear, sorry, Chris. Oh yes, Mark won one of our prize competitions yesterday. Well done, mate. Yeah, he must be absolutely buzzing. Win a yellow monkey at that level, eh? Got to be buzzing. No need to apologise. Even Ricky, what do they use to treat flukes in Japan? Do they use super heavy PP doses, or do they use specific fluke medications over there? Thanks. Pretty much a lot of the same. Flubendazole is very common. PP, super strong, yes, because it can wipe so much out and be advantageous as well. So yeah, and it's just with them, it's all about the dosing. It's all about the dosing. I've said this before anyway, but overall, it's about that. But 100%, say PP, flubendazole, very common. They had a run in the past of using Superverm, but as they've learned as well, very fucking dangerous stuff to be using with nasty side effects if it hits wrong. And that's mebendazole as a base in that, but there's, I can't remember the other chemical. But yeah, dangerous, risky stuff. But that's pretty much the extent of it for flukes as far as I'm aware. Source water is the issue. No nitrite, no nitrate. Tested KH. Pond temp is 8 degrees, 2,000 gallon, running on 2 bottom drains into a combo drum back through a shower, not feeding at the mo. That's a very, very strange scenario, Gary, to say the least. presuming you haven't fed to cause a spike or something like that, and to have yeah, no nitrite. I would, just one thing I would stick in there is get a new test kit. I don't know what brand you're using. I use Colombo, but it might just be worth checking it with a different kit, because these things can throw up peculiar results, and that seems peculiar to get that spike in like that. And again, not doubting your source was, but you'd have to add quite a dose of chlorine run through there to do some damage, which is completely plausible, and that might be the case. Always, just about every one of them. No, I can't. There's nothing. Oh well, fucking hell. Actually, there is one springing to mind. If Ballbag's watching, yeah, the mango Achiba looking thing that I sold him as a toe side that I'm still growing and raising, and absolutely regretted 150%. And the regret gets worse all the time. Remove the first one. Part of the new pond bill. Given your choice, would you run a drum or an extra 320 plus the 3,500 on a single bottom drain with additional stuff above? I'll get back to that. That's just prompted me. So I my sort of I want, they are actually changing a bit towards the drums given. So you may well remember me saying I've been testing one of the Oaza units on a pump fed setup. Now, this thing, I can't even remember how long it's been running now. I think it could be 7-8 months. I think it will be something along that, possibly up to 10, no more than 10. No, it's not. 7 or 8 months. I tell you what, and me and Colin laughed about this today. We genuinely, I lift the lid up every now and again. We have not laid a finger on it. Not a single thing on that since it's been running now. Yes, still quite new. But other than the fact of we go and obviously top the pond up where the level gets a bit low, we generally forget it's even down there running. And I expected it, to be honest, with the Oaza one, and I'm impressed by it. It's been seamless. It's a proper well made bit of kit. That it's got the technology behind it. It's got everything as I would do. A proper internal cleaning pump. When I see that, there's a small strainer. They've also got something wrapped around that as well. The removable screens. Everything there to me makes sense. Now, what I do like is the fact that it's in this pump fed setup. And when actually the guys in Japan are installing these, so you know, they also go for the pump fed setup. And I think it really makes sense because you've got continuity of it running. There's in that pump fed setup, there's elements of it that will allow it to continue running through the biological stage as well. And it's going to continue on that pond. They actually gave it to me. It came on a sale and return basis that after a test period, if I wasn't happy, it could go back. And I am actually deciding to buy it because there was a couple of little things that were my fault as well. I just realized the other day, I did the bio side concerned me, and I broke it quite a few times at setup. And yeah, it was new media, of course, but I've just realized through moving the feeder, it's the fucking feeder that's faulty. Another one. And on one bar setting, it's actually throwing probably up to about 3 bars worth of food out per feed, which would just constantly, and that's what's happening, constantly overwhelmed it, not allowed any biological buildup, which is nuts. So that's been off, but now I know that was part of that problem. Another gripe I had with it was I had to really reduce the media because where the water level actually sits, if you just use the straight out pipe, wasn't allowing it to agitate very well, so you couldn't get as much in. And I just didn't pay it enough attention, to be honest. And I was having a good look around it this morning, and realized like a knob that by putting an elbow on the return and angling it up, so I've got a 90-degree coming up and angled, it's allowed me to raise, there's a good chunk of water level, I could raise it up inside the unit before it would, you know, be too high and start bypassing the drum and whatnot. And that's made a huge, allowed me to get most of the additional media I've got in as well. So now that's in a new spot, I can't actually wait. I'm actually jigging that pond around now to get some fish in there, so I can actually start pushing it a bit harder and seeing where we actually get with it. But I'm not gonna lie, it's impressed me. It's actually the you can't imagine it's how it should be with a drum. And when I say we haven't touched it, I have not laid a finger on it. The screen, I'm going to do a video at some point. The screens are cacked solid, they're brown stained because he's had a fair battering. When that feeder was chucking in at that rate, I was trying to persevere through, thinking, right, go on, you'll catch up at some point. It's had a battering. So I think it'd be really good to do that and see where it's at. But like I say, it's just gone on and on and on. And to be honest with you, I can't really see it being any other way. Of course, it's mechanical, it's electronics, stuff can go wrong there always. But you know, it's nice if anything does go wrong on that particular unit, it'll bypass, or I can take, you know, one of the screens out the drum very easily, very quickly, and bypass it that way as well. So yeah, I'm torn. Now that there is the issue here of the price still. There's that's never going to go away. And I think you still need to look at always the total pond budget when you're doing it and go, right, for me, I would always be prioritizing getting heat to it. So if there's a choice in there of what Chris is asking me, and have a Nexus and a heat pump, for example, or you've got to have a drum and sacrifice the heat pump, just one, I would always go with the Nexus and the heat pump. You've got to look at the thing as a whole, and what you can do with the budget that you've got, I think, is the most important part, and not be under any illusion still on what you're looking to get a drum for. Because if it is just the automatic cleaning, you know, not wanting to do it, you can get that with a Nexus as well. So I think it's very important to look at that as a whole. Which is exactly what I'd say to you there, Chris. For me, there's going to be no harm either way. I think what I'm looking at there now is if a drum truly works like that long term, then 100%. I mean, even if we were looking at, you know, potential labor savings over time would be vast. It's just as it stands, the drums I have don't. And when you get one like they are a fucking nightmare. And I mean a nightmare. I despise them. So this is a very different experience that I'm very pleased that I'm having. Still needs more time. Like I say, I can't remember them being this bad. Plus, I just want to wade in there that this is on the pump fed basis. And I'm even looking at this as having, you know, me looking, if that was to integrate into a system, how I would integrate it to minimize the impact the drum would have if it started going wrong. Try and get the benefits from it in my environment with the super heavy feeding, to try and get the benefits from it and mitigate against any potential downsizing, biological interruption, and stuff like that. Gone well off topic. But I think it does help you, you know, in a decision-making process here, because I ultimately have 11 ponds in that fish house now, where one of my own filters is being tested out, and this OR's one has been tested, and you know, I've not rolled any of them out properly yet. There's a Mark II of my filter coming, pros and cons both there, so I've a lot to look at and consider, the same as what you have, Chris, clearly. So I'm just trying. Right, so single bottom drain. I think, well, my if I was going for it, and I'm proper on fence with this at the minute, to be honest. A shower's an option. Did you say that up above? Let's have a scroll up and have a look. I think it makes sense to obviously look at what you're doing with your main line. Oh, it depends. I mean, if showers are coming into play, then I look at it completely different. You see, I would 100% go kind of bottom drain. If that was the case, bottom drain, drum filter, and then see, problem is there with your showers if you want the heavy flow. And I don't think that's ideal. Trying to pull that through a drum filter like that. But I was looking at one point when I was planning on doing the development we hadn't done, is the sieves. So sieves, because of the volume of the ponds as well, 3,500 is a bit bigger, getting on for my bigger ones where I'm pushing 30,000 over the showers. So I don't think it wouldn't be wise pulling that through a drum unless you're feeding it with probably minimum of 2 bottom drains, maybe more, which is getting into layers of complication there as well. So what you might want to look at there, which might make sense for you, if you want, you don't want both though either, do you? It's hard that, Chris. It's really, really tricky. Maybe tell me there. I mean, is there budget considerations here, mate, in what you're doing? If you can drop me that in the comments. The big thing here, your bottom drain, you want to be purging it, or the ability to purge it, or be pulling on it, a good flow rate frequently. I see this coming up a lot nowadays as well, where and it was in the problem I was working on the Telegram group last night, this worry about not pulling the drain off. So you're pulling more flow through the drain. The problem is with that, it still doesn't, you're pulling it at maximum, you'll still get some settlement in your bottom drain. So purging is a really important part in any design to consider, and regardless of your system, a purge I would massively be an advocate of. I think the rest of it then, yeah. So I think on where you're at, I would probably just go in your bottom drain, purge, and then either your Nexus or your drum, and then additional bio chamber on that same line as well. So you're not worrying about flow, you're not worrying about your bottom drain. You can just purge that at any point. And then if you're using a side feed, I would probably come off of that to feed showers, or if you got a skimmer, if that's your plan, just use the skimmer line to feed over something like that. Then you've only got the 2. I think it's maybe always worth putting a mid-water outlet in at the construction stage and just capping it. So you've got that there as an option moving forwards if you wanted anything else as well. That's where that's what I'd do. Could you tell me some of the demerits to look for when selecting fish for a show? Ooh, well, we've got to probably be a bit more variety specific. And I mean, the big demerits overall is always going to be around body. And should we not really be looking at the merits more than anything, because you want the merits to shine and come through. But for me, I'm not going to, from a UK perspective, I say this every time when question comes up, not going to get into it because I don't understand the madness of it at times. But there will be specific, like a big raging shimmy on a kohaku is going to be a massive demerit anywhere in the world, for example. But let's look at the merits, really focus on that color quality, body posture. There's some technicalities in the pattern, but also it depends what you're coming up against on the day. So Odame, kohaku, for example, is a real nice quality to have in a kohaku for a show. But ultimately, if you've got something that hasn't got it and the fish in its body and color supremacy reigns supreme, then it should still rank above, and in Japan would rank above the one with the Odame. It wouldn't just win because of a technicality. Not having the Odame is not necessarily a demerit, you see. So my mindset on that would be to focus on the merits and understanding those and making sure they reign supreme. Evening, Ricky. With all the rain we've had, I'm adding the complete pond detox each week. What's your thoughts on it? I think we realised I got to the point where I'm not really allowed to share my thoughts on on that one. I don't want people trying to dig me out in me inbox because they don't like what I've said. I said, did that happen? I don't know. Anyway, all I would say is I'm not, what are you chucking these additives in for on a regular basis? If there's a fundamental underlying problem, fix the fundamental underlying problem rather than just putting something in every week that you think you need to keep your pond sound. Any update on 10 special ND Sankey? Yeah, I'm photographing them tomorrow. They've been waiting to be processed. But yes, being photographed tomorrow. Now then, Ben. Hi, Ricky. A while ago, you changed one of your filter systems to mountain tree media. Has it been long enough to give it a review? It's getting there. I think I realized I was, in my earlier opinions, I've not said too much on it, a bit too premature on how long it's took to boot in. But I think by the end of around the end of March, on the main pond, which is my golden corn one where it's been added, I think I'll be ready to pass judgment, let's say. What advice would you give to a koi keeper just starting out, wanting to get into British shows with smaller size koi? Don't get hung up on what basically just been said before, merits, demerits. Make sure you fundally understand about quality koi before you go looking at what koi will win a UK show. That's very important because if you get too hung up on that, I've seen it too many signs, it's quite a dark path to go down trying to chase what you think the judges are looking for, because then there becomes a big discrepancy on what you can really actually get, what you can get within your budget as well, and it all just gets fucked up and leads to unhappiness in the hobby, which I'm never a fan of. Our Paul's at his filter limits. Just leave it at what level you're at then, Paul. No, or just drop the amount off a bit if you're still happy that the fish are got space and managing oxygen and all the rest of it. If you're wanting to keep growing them, they will still keep growing. Hi, Ricky. I have 2,000 gravity, 2,000 gravity fed, 2,000 gallons, and we're going to guess. We'll need to pond 12 koi between 25 55 cm. I run a 20,000 EA vary pump at 30%. I'm not interested on size, but how can I keep them optimum health, please? Optimum health. Are they unhealthy? Susie is what I would ask you on that one. Obviously, always if they're not, we need to fundamentally check the system. Obviously, keeping good water. One of the big things I've mentioned a lot of times is ensuring that we've not got any heavy metals in the water that's going in all the time. That's a massive one. Making sure your parameters are in check, ensuring that you feed the best quality diet. And to be honest, optimal health would be to have heat, because then you're getting more immune response as well. In my opinion, more control, more than anything, which is also going to add to them being in optimum health, let's say. New grow on running easy pod and a backy. How would you go about cycling it quickly so I don't miss out on too much grow time this season? I would get that water cooked up, 25 degrees. I would get some fish in, get feed in. When the ammonia spike hits, have some bacteria to hand, EA filter gel, back to plus, or PSB, to get through the ammonia cycle as quickly as possible. When it hits its absolute peak, you're going to want to ease off the food, maybe just for a few days, get it under control, and then when it's gone away, your nitrite will come. It's going to be stubborn anyway in your first year. Just salt up, don't let it get too high, but keep a consistent level of feed in there to keep that filter fed so it can get the bacteria firing. But the temperature is going to be the big part of the speed for you. Yeah, so that's it. There definitely will be hobbyists out there, 100%, who hold higher standards than dealers out there selling fish for more uh, money. It's a tough one. I get it. I really do. I don't want to tank my water with grow food pushing from pushing the koi for massive growth. Just body them up, maintaining a nice condition. Would I need to mix color if it was just a balanced diet? Up? Yeah, so I've got a pond at the minute, overwintering pond that is at 18 degrees. It's being fed 4 times a day via the feeder, and that's balance and color in there as a mix. I think it's about 25% color to the balance, and it just aids that pigment development in there. But yeah, they're looking fantastic on that. How do you keep quarantine ponds stable with all the treatments going in one after another? They don't go in one after another. I mean, it depends what it is. I never just blanket treat. I think anybody who just does that wants slapping, to be honest. And so my new fish had roughly been in just around a week now. And yeah, they start to show the signs as they have done. But I instantly scrape and diagnose and then treat accordingly. Not every treatment is going to wipe the filter out, i.e., fluke treatments don't. It's quite a bit of it's been gill fluke, so there's not going to be too bad there. When an individual buys from a reputable distributor such as yourself, but in the US, how long should an individual plan on quarantining them? I think if you want to do it, I mean, as long as possible, but quarantine is about kind of what you throw at them. You know, you could have a fish sat there in a nice, stable environment for quite a prolonged period of time. Problem is, if you don't throw the stress events in like we do, we're going to have temperature spikes in amongst it. We mix the naive fish in. There's loads of different things in that process where we're trying to create stress to try and trigger any problems. Because you might find, unless it's something you're directly importing, i.e., bacterial disease, which could just come from source, would show very quickly. Other stuff takes a lot of time. So, ultimately it could just be, a month is an acceptable amount of time, but during that month you do want to try and throw some stress their way to try and provoke any problems that might be there, and ensure there are other fish in the tank that are clean and healthy as well, because they will help show up any potential problems. Evening, Ricky. Can you recommend koi numbers for my 5,000k pond, please, as you're filling it right up? No, I can't, because I always say it. The biggest thing with stocking levels in your pond is ultimately going to be dictated by feeding. That's my whole philosophy on that. Throat's drying up again. My ponds that I run, just general stocking ponds that aren't fed heavy, I can run them wall to wall quite happily. The minute I start hitting them heavier with food, it all falls apart. And that is the ultimate dictator in all that one. And you can kind of reverse engineer it back from there as well. Obviously, oxygen is going to play a huge part. That depends how warm you're running it as well. So sorry, I don't follow any of these X amount of fish to this amount of water. I think most people who put those kind of things out there and recommend it haven't got a clue and haven't really kept fish properly to know that it's absolute nonsense. So yeah, you can do a rough calculator. There's weight calculators online that you can roughly, say I've got 40 fish, maybe 10 at this size, 10 at this size, whatever. And then whatever weight you get back, work on about 1 kilo, 1% of body mass per day as you're feeding, which should be bare minimum. And that might give you an idea then on obviously understanding what your bio load capacities are and going from there. PP question there. I'm going to leave that for now. But organic load is a massive thing with Oh yeah, actually, we can probably go with that. Have you found different ponds react differently to PP? Yes, I use an ORP to check dosage. Some 10% over 1 gram per 100 gallons, 500. Yeah, I don't follow AWP readings. Well, the pond 3 times the amount of that PP to get 500. It always varies. And organic loading is a massive one with PP. I can see so many different. I can generally tell looking at the water as well. To be fair, how it's going to react just from how the water looks, not just necessarily from staining, potential cloudiness, just other bits in the water. And some aren't going to last long, and others are. What I have done over this time period is come to a dose that seems to be a good broad one for getting the best shot across ponds that are across a broad range of waters. Actually, I've been trying it, getting closer to that 4 hours of reaction time that I like to get. Ricky, on secondary colour, Benny more likely. Is there anything to do to prevent this? Not necessarily. Colour food, if it's there, if they're genetically predisposed to it, colour food will push it up. If you feed, I don't think anybody I really know feeds the amount of colour foods that can really, force it up. Generally, it's going to be there ultimately. And I've seen stuff in the water, nothing specific I've managed to get to, but just some scenarios and circumstances where all of a sudden it started pushing it. Generally, strong, intense UV, or when the UV exposure changes, it can actually encourage it to come up. So you might actually see you get amounts of secondary colour at different times of the year coming up. You might have been great all summer, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, fuck, cooled everything down and it started coming up. Can be quite normal. Hi, Ricky, would you put anything extra in the bag moving a koi to a show? No. Michael, no, unfortunately, the site isn't open, so to speak. We have collections from the car park, but not for viewing the fish, which is primarily self-imposed CFAS regulations, but also planning restrictions as well. You see, Chris has got us a bit more info there. I reckon I have a koi line at the bottom, but all the koi are fine. I caught it out and it had wounds because I have no quarantine tank. I cleared the wound and put it back. Yes, that is okay. Diagnosis work might be worth considering, and maybe checking one or two others that there's no problems. Yeah, so in that case, Chris, I'd go with what I said, mate. Run your main system off your bottom drain, just fit a purge beforehand, and run your shower off of a mid feed or a skimmer, or plumb it into both, or whatever you want to do there, pal. Yeah, we're pushing us on this one, aren't we, tonight? Clay, I absolutely love clays. No issues with them. Great all-round thing to be adding because it's a non-chemical or anything approach. We know what it is. It's a great flocculant as well. And for me, just loads of benefits and no downside to using it. That's in there. Purging bottom drain lines. So, I mean, the breeders, with the way their systems work, because they're not pulling mechanical debris into the filter system, they do theirs every day. I have systems, my brush chamber fed ones get done once to twice a week at most. It's one of those, the more frequently you discharge the heavy fish waste out of there, the better the water will keep. When growing tosa, you always remove the exceptionally large ones. Yes, so they can stop the smaller ones feeding. This is the problem with hobbyists trying to grow tosa in a pond with various fish sizes. Ultimately, it is. When you've got competing groups, one group is always going to lose out. I mean, for me, this is about extracting absolute maximum centimeters, and it's why I do it. The fish will still grow. You know, in your bigger pond, your mixed pond, it's probably also overall a less competitive environment than mine. You've not got the same stocking levels, and that does affect competition amongst the groups a hell of a lot more. So you just have to be. There's realities to this. It's our hobbyist pond is. If there's just one pond, there'll be mixed sizes. That small fish will still grow. In the end, it might just do it a lot slower than it would in the environments that I'm using to raise them. What do you know about silver fox Makashiogan? Is this a Sakai line? Silver fox is a Sakai line, yes. Do you know anything about growth potential? Absolutely fucking savage. To compare like other line like yellow monkeys, they're all big genetics. When you look at any of them farms, it's at the heart of what they do. Not seeing any silver fox around for a long time though, but they're seriously savage genetics in there. The same as what yellow monkey is. All these breeders, they know it's part of their brand of their fish that they need to get size and body. There's expectations, so it's generally always going to be baked in to them as standard. Yes, at some point, Luke. Don't worry. Don't worry. Ricky, how long should I leave a new pond build to introduce fish? I think that depends, Joe, on whether you are heated or unheated. So it's going to be when is the real important part. Because what you don't want to do if it's unheated is drop them in too soon and then potentially trigger some element of new pond syndrome when you've not really got the temperature to kind of get them out of it or get the pond out of it or help start seeding it up properly. Saito, Ginra, and Karashi are looking absolutely superb. They really are flying at the minute. Are water conditions any good while using tap water, if that's what you have available? Absolutely. No need to go daft. Sodium thiosulfate, absolutely superb. And I've just hit the bottom. Thanks, Ricky. Yeah, I had some secondary Benny appear since coming into winter. Drops to 12 degrees and covered with polished sheets, maybe light exposure. Yeah, generally what you can tend to find that the intense UV of summer can actually send some element of colour into hiding a little bit, if you like. And then it kind of, this happens with sumi a lot. And then as winter comes, intensity drops off. There's a period of consolidation. And then that's when the problems can actually start to occur. There we go. Oh, fuck. I'll tell you what. I said I'd do it. So we might as well, haven't we? I forgot all about it. Just a little bit to end. So, yeah, a Dietary show. This is actually a piece I'm auctioning on my Ricky Stoddart's Nishikigoi group. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. There is a link in the description. It's some absolutely spectacular pieces in this one tomorrow. I've never done out this bonkers yet, I don't think. And I'll show you the fish here. Look. Boom. So this is Dietary Mona Lisa. Now, Nisai, I think it's about 48 cm, female, looking superb, dreamy fish. Coming together lovely. And the bit I've got in this now, let me show you, is cut the sound off. That's what it was, look. To obviously what it's become now. You can tell it's got that proper Dietary body posture as well, hasn't it? We'll just wind that back. So if we look at it there, the question I got asked when I've circulated is this: did you know it was going to look like that? Now, you never know. That's the point. And I don't fully look at trying to figure out exactly what it's going to look like. What I took from this here is I know this type of sumi. It's quite common with Mona Lisa fish. And this can be really leery sumi in that light exposure, again, can be very damaging to it. It can go into hiding very quickly, but it can come up just as fast. But I had no doubt in my mind that within well, over this kind of autumn winter period, the sumi development of this fish would be rapid. The area sort of on the right hand side towards the back where there is no sumi at the minute, that was more questionable what was going to happen there longer term. But with this type of sumi, it doesn't always show. It can come out of nowhere. So I was just looking at the outer edges of the fish thinking, well, I like the flow of the belly pattern. The body posture on there, you can see, look superb. The rest of it, the belly quality looked good, Sashikiwa, etc. So then it's a matter of case of raise it and see what happens. That's how I make them decisions. And sure enough, the sumi did as expected. And it's actually probably been more rapid than I expected. But this is exactly what that type of sumi can do. It is phenomenal, the speed at which it can come up as well. Just look at that again. Been fierce, completely almost consumed one of them bits of Benny that's hit up there. And it's not done yet. The sumi on the head's going to be an interesting one. I don't know whether that's going to come up or not. But as it actually stands, I'm actually seeing, I know a lot of people like to see it, but there's a balance to this fish that I like. And I wouldn't say necessarily it would need sumi on the head because there's something about it, the whole flow of it, it seems to work and it's looking good. And there's no doubt that body frame with another year's solid growth on it through to Sansai, it's going to be one fierce Dainichi show, let me tell you. Have a look there at that picture one more time. Look. That posture is amazing. Skin quality levels high. Really red, black, and white. Look, we'll still get some more improvement on the Shiroji on the head as well. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, you just got to those transformations when they come through like that. It's awesome. But yeah, I don't analyze, especially with Tosai. I don't analyze too deeply. I'm always looking around the edges of the fish, knowing that you need to give it time, get it 6 months, 12 months down the line, and assess it from there on in. So yeah, please join me. Get in that group. Links are all in the Telegram one as well. Loads of great stuff, information and stuff going on in there all the time. And of course, the Koi Online one, we do different stuff across all of it. And yeah, on that note, I'm going to go and no doubt be asleep very, very soon. Managed to dig it out of the bag for that, though. Woke up a little bit. And yeah, thanks for everyone who's tuned in. Great numbers on that tonight. And actually tomorrow, I'm at some point tomorrow, I'm going to do one of the Koi Online, Koi Focus sessions again live while I'm updating the fish with new website. From the last one, I figured it out a bit, got it a bit more organized. So I'm going to be adding a whole batch of new fish, mainly the Dainichi Toyota, the Nanoko Kohaku and Pandora Showas that I still have a few of to the site. So come along, we'll talk some koi while I'm getting that done in between. Hope to see you there. And if not, I'll catch you next week.